Flat Earth conspiracy theories. Let's go.
Do you believe the Earth is flat?
I know the Earth is flat.
Seriously?
Astrology and flat Earth or true Earth are symbiotic. You cannot have one without the other. If you have a ball and you are spinning, flying through space, chasing this fireball, your constellations would change every now and then. And our constellations have never changed. The stars have never changed. We have the same 12 zodiac signs that we had back in the Dendera stones in Egypt over 5,000 years ago. We're not moving. Every single ancient society knew this. The Mayans, the Aztecs, the Hindus, the Egyptians, every single ancient culture knew that we live in a geocentric universe, not a heliocentric, where we are spinning, chasing this ball of fire while all of these other planets are rotating around us, while all of these other stars are rotating around us. If that was the case, Polaris would move, number one, which is the North Star, and it doesn't. Number two, all of the constellations would not rotate solely around Polaris, but they do. Therefore, we are the center of the universe. Believing in the Big Bang Theory is something that is very common today, where people think, we're the product of an accident and that, we don't have a creator. We're just here to consume and live our best life and not live up to our potential. But if you're the center of the universe, that means that you're very special. That means that you have a creator who is very conscious and cares about you. And when you see yourself as being watched by these heavenly bodies above you 24/7, you start to take your life a little bit more seriously.
Notice any curvature while we were up there?
Curvature? No.
No? There's no curvature?
It's just all flat.
They began flying it around the world from Abu Dhabi last year, with stops in India and China, then across the vast Pacific.
Does running around your neighborhood prove that the neighborhood is round?
I was an airline pilot for Delta for 26 years. A pilot's primary flight instrument is his artificial horizon, which he has to be maintained level to keep from climbing and descending. From a cockpit, weather permitting, I could see hundreds of miles in all directions, viewing cities connected by roads across the flat plain as far as the eye could see.
This world is not what you think it is. This world is not what you think it is.
Notice any...
Because you know how I figured it out? What's 1 times 1?
1 times 1 is 1.
To multiply means to do what? To make more, right?
Yes.
Increase in number?
Yes.
Multiply?
Yes.
How can 1 times 1 equaling 1 be part of the multiplication table? It fails to satisfy the term multiply. It doesn't multiply. Does it? What's an action times an action?
You got some weed.
No, I'm asking you. Honestly, I'm asking. Reason.
What are we doing here?
Reason. I want you to reason.
I don't know.
What's an action times an action? A reaction. Right?
Okay.
Have you ever seen an action times an action without a reaction? Have you? No. Because equanimity is the currency of the universe. There's always an action times an action having a reaction. So how can 1 times 1 equal 1? How can A times B just be A and not B? What happened to conservation?
Terrence, these are late night conversations.
These are
bro.
These
they
are. This is the beginning of our understanding. It should fit. What kind of calculator you got? What kind of phone you got?
It's an iPhone.
Okay, go to your calculator.
Whatever the new.
No, go to your calculator. Go to your calculator.
All right. Go to calculator.
Go to your calculator.
Yeah, I got
do too. You got iPhone?
What are we doing?
I want both of y'all to do 2 separate things. I want to do the same thing to start with. Turn it to the side.
Okay.
All right. Now I want you to both hit the number 2. Did the whole calculator show up?
Hit number what?
Hit the number 2.
Number 2.
Go to the square root. It is the second column from the left, 3rd row. It'll have that squiggly thing.
All right. 1.4.
1.414213562373095.
Holy
now
crap.
I want you two to do 2 separate things now. 2 separate things. I want you to multiply it by 2, hit times 2, equal, don't you do it.
Okay.
And I want you to hit x to the 3rd. X to the 3rd, it's going to be...
Times 3?
No, x to the 3rd.
Oh, X. Oh, okay, I see it.
X to the 3rd.
Yeah, I got you. All right, 1.1.
No, you didn't hit x to the 3rd.
Yes, I did.
If you hit x to the 3rd.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right.
So
I
go
did
back
that.
again.
Okay,
You
so
keep
now
yours where you are.
Yeah, I'm
2,
Two
square root,
square root.
and hit x to the 3rd.
All right, 2.82.
2.828, 4271, 2174, 6190. The same value you got
Yeah.
by multiplying it by 2.
Yeah.
And he just cubed it. Divide it by 2 again. Both of y'all. Divide
it by 2.
No, divide by 2. Hit equal. Now, cube it again. Hit x to the third.
Yeah.
You see that loop?
Yeah.
That's saying x cubed is equal to 2x, which is equal to x plus x. That's an unnatural equation. That's a mathematical fallacy. And that's the beginning of your math. That's how I invented tangential flight, because your math, someone programmed that lie in there and lied to you and everyone, and all your fundamentals are off.
Do you want to know why?
Did you know the Earth is flat? Anyways, that's not the point. There's this brand, Dr. Truth, and they sell this plant called Batana oil. My research have discovered this, and it is quite literally proven to grow your hair even after balding. We tested it on multiple subjects, and every time it worked.
Multi-world center.
4 times NASA said that the Earth was flat and non-rotating. The very first requirement for landing an aircraft is that the Earth is flat and non-rotating. This one's in the general equations of motion for a damaged asymmetric aircraft, rigid body equations of motion over a flat, non-rotating Earth. These are all on the NASA website, by the way. You don't have to search hard. There's tons of documents. I just grabbed 4 of them. Another one about aircrafts, it says this simulation assumes a vehicle with 6 degrees of freedom and aerodynamic symmetry in roll, and the missile position in space is computed relative to a flat, non-rotating Earth. This one's on how helicopters work. The helicopter equations of motion are given in body axes with respect to a flat, non-rotating Earth. If you still believe that we live on a globe, I don't even know what to tell you. TikTok, this is for entertainment only.
One of the best kept secrets in the space community is one all officials have been keeping from the general public. At SpaceX, we want to make our knowledge available to everyone. When we sent our first rocket into space, we were able to confirm that the Earth is in fact not rounded, it's flat.
The Earth is flat, stationary, and enclosed by a glass dome known as the firmament, which contains the sun, moon, and stars, all of which move, not the Earth. Above and below are waters. This isn't a conspiracy. If satellites were really in space, why would we need communication towers in the middle of the ocean? A compass only functions properly on a flat surface to differentiate between north, east, south, and west. Water always stays level and contained, with the Arctic Circle and Antarctica acting as barriers that hold the oceans in. The solid glass dome or firmament keeps the air inside, creating a sealed, airtight environment. The Earth doesn't spin at millions of miles per hour like a ball. The sounds of thunder booms are produced when solid objects shift. Even world leaders know this truth, as shown by the flat Earth map on the UN logo. Once again, it's the sun, moon, and stars that rotate from east to west, not the Earth. The people who taught you that the Earth is a globe are fully aware of and believe in the flat, enclosed system we all live in and that no one can leave. We're told that we're spinning at 1,000 miles per hour, orbiting the sun in the heliocentric model at 66,600 miles per hour. On top of that, we're supposedly chasing the sun through space at nearly 500,000 miles per hour. According to this model, we're spiraling through an infinite universe, never in the same place twice. Now consider the Georgia Guidestones, which had a small hole drilled through one of the central stones. If you looked through that hole, you would always see Polaris, the North Star. But how could we be moving in so many directions, traveling vast distances, and yet that star remains perfectly aligned in the hole? It should shift out of sight constantly, yet it stayed in place for 40 years until one day someone blew up the monument. They say Earth spins eastward at 1,600 kilometers per hour at the equator. So here's a question. How does a plane flying eastward at just 800 kilometers per hour reach its destination? Shouldn't the ground be moving too fast for the plane to catch up? And what about landing? Imagine trying to land a plane safely on a runway that's supposedly zipping along at 1,600 kilometers per hour. Sounds risky, doesn't it? The official explanation is that Earth's atmosphere is stuck to the planet, held by gravity despite the vacuum of space above it. But think about this. If Earth were a spinning ball, pilots would constantly need to adjust for the curve. At 800 kilometers per hour, a plane would have to lower its nose by around 850 meters per minute to stay on course with Earth's curvature. Otherwise, it would be flying higher and higher, reaching about 50,000 meters in just an hour. Yet pilots don't make these constant adjustments. Once they reach cruising altitude, they level off and maintain a steady course until it's time to descend. No constant corrections for Earth's curve, just a straight level flight path. Doesn't that raise questions? If Earth were really spinning and curving, wouldn't we see constant course corrections? But we don't. It's a compelling clue that maybe things aren't what we've been taught. What do you think? If you're curious to dive deeper into these ideas, make sure to check out more videos on this page.
Under the Earth, there are 7 more planets that are disks.
What?
Yeah.
7 flat worlds?
Pretty much. I'm the only one who can show you from astrology, from the Bible, and from the East, and from all traditions, how they all syncretize and concur that the Earth is a stationary horizontal plane.
I love
You have to do it like that. If you don't do it like that, you can't do it properly. You can't just have one angle. You can't just say, oh, all the scientific experiments that have been conducted prove, George Airy, James Bradley, Sagnac, Michelson-Morley, they all prove that the Earth is stationary, and that's your one angle. You can't just have one angle. I'm coming from the Jewish tradition. I'm coming from the Bhagavad Gita. I'm showing how the Bible proves it with great etymological proofs, and no one else is doing that. I do that and all the other angles.
Is this a dimension? Are we living in an energy force that has multiple layers?
You know the Kabbalistic tree, right? There it is there, the 10 Sephiroth, your 10 fingers. There's Kether, and there's Malkuth, the earth. So is it a dimension? Yes, it is. But it's all these things, from Kether to earth, which is ether to earther, same word. So if you're asking, what's the earth? Well, it's just ether in a gross, more solidified form.
I'm not allowed to say certain things, but this is how they hide everything. So, if you want to understand what you are, where we are, this ebook will literally unveil that to you.
This is how they claim they get into outer space, is these rockets. Their rockets never go straight up. Every single rocket launch from a government space agency, you'll notice, follows a parabolic curve. It goes up, it reaches a peak, but what they do is as the rocket starts coming back down, they make sure that it goes down over the ocean, out of the way of any curious observers. Anyone can see it coming back down to Earth, asks, hey, how come the rocket's not going up anymore? Well, it's going around the curvature of the Earth, is what they tell us. So every single rocket, the reason that it follows a parabolic curve, they say, is because it's going around the curvature of the Earth. The real reason is they can't get up any higher than that. They tell us that the Earth is a sphere. They show us pictures of a sphere, of a circle. It's a perfect circle. And then they come out and they say, well, it's actually an oblate spheroid. Oh, what's that? Well, it's a sphere that's flattened at both poles, so it's more of an oval shape. It actually bulges out south of the equator, as well as being flattened at the poles. So it's more pear-shaped.
So it's not actually a sphere. It's oblate. And officially it's an oblate spheroid. That's what we call it. But not only that, it's slightly wider below the equator than above the equator.
A little chubbier.
A little chubbier.
Yeah.
Chubby's a good word. It's like pear-shaped.
So now it's pear-shaped. So why are all of these official NASA photos and videos showing perfect spheres when it's actually an oblate spheroid or a pear-shaped spheroid? They can't get their story straight. And the reason they keep changing it is that to fit the model, they have to change the shape of the Earth. South of the equator is larger than north of the equator because lines of longitude that just extend outwards. They don't contract back. So they concede that in their pair model. They say, well, the side bulges out south of the equator. It's bigger south of the equator. Yeah, it is, because it's flat. But instead of admitting that, they just, make tweaks to their model as time goes on. They say that the ball Earth tilts back 23.5 degrees. That's another tweak they made because we can see Polaris, which is right over the North Pole, from 23.5 degrees south latitude. Shouldn't be able to see that on a ball. So they just tilt the Earth back and then okay, now you can see it. And so they come up with explanations in reverse like this. Damage control, reverse engineered explanations.
What if everything we thought we knew about flat Earth was only a fraction of the truth? 1/4 of the truth to be exact. First, have you seen the moon map projection where they take the moon and map out the dark spots on it and they'll show that 1/4 is our known Earth, our known flat Earth model. Now, we've all seen the clock in Prague, but I want to point something out. You notice the constellation ring here, and the sun and the moon are actually connected right here in the center, showing that the sun and moon go around this constellation wheel. And some say that this constellation wheel might slowly but surely, over maybe thousands of years, move around this bigger circle. Now here's where it gets really interesting. If that's the case, and the sun's trajectory is warming this land, but then also moving through 4 quarters, right? Then that would mean that this area of ice would be melting and the rest would be freezing. So when I ask Google where Antarctica's ice caps are melting, it's the western area of Antarctica. When I ask where they are constantly freezing, they said the eastern region. Where is the eastern region? Everywhere else in Antarctica. Believe it or not, this is how Antarctica is divided. So where is this western region on the flat earth map? Well, let's just say if this were moving around in a circle, this little part would be the one melting and the rest would be freezing. So then I was looking at the Mercator map, and none of these regions look familiar. But it is weird how they all are in 4 quarters. A clock is sectioned in 4 quarters. Several cosmological and mythological systems portray 4 corners or 4 quarters. In the book of Enoch, he talks about the 4 quarters. And several verses talk about the 4 quarters. Then you look at the definition of quarter, and one is each 4 equal or corresponding parts into which something is or can be divided, right? Then another definition is the place in which you can dwell, a specific place. Here's what's nuts though. So this is a quarter, as in 1/4 of the whole area, but then it's also a quarter, the place in which we can dwell. What? So with this generalized idea, what else does it explain? Well, it explains lands beyond the ice wall, extra lands. Maybe not this or this, but maybe it's this they're trying to deflect us from. Also, global warming. A lot of people want you to think that the world is getting sicker, and then you've got your conspiracy guys who say it's just a big old money grab, global warming. But what if it's just the natural cycle of our reality? Every so 1,000 years, this moves into another quarter, causing an ice age? Yeah, it would explain ice ages. Because, I mean, if we're being real, there have been some pretty neat discoveries made of animals in ice, undigested food in their stomachs. It would kind of explain mud floods. Hey, they found old world pyramids and buildings in ice. It seems we're always given partial truths on things. Now, I'm not saying that this theory is one that I believe or disbelieve, but it's interesting nonetheless. Look at
Leaked footage of our flat Earth from 1972 Apollo mission. These are clips taken from 2 hours apart. You can see the ice wall and more land beyond it. Could that possibly be another world beyond it? The Apollo mission never...
The hidden lands beyond the ice walls. Awakening truth. Let's have a little journey to the old map. Did you know that there are other worlds and more lands to explore?
Let's look at the photo. You say that's me? Okay. Check out the name badge. It says Aldrin. Looks like you're right. But notice the helmet. Can you see my face? No. This is a secret I've been keeping for almost half a century. On July 20th, 1969, Neil Armstrong and I pulled off humanity's first extraterrestrial prank.
What was the scariest moment of the journey?
Scariest? It didn't happen. It could have been scary.
Why has nobody been to the moon in such a long time?
That's not an 8-year-old's question. That's my question. I want to know, but I think I know. Because we didn't go there, and that's the way it happened. And if it didn't happen, It's nice to know why it didn't happen, so in the future, if we want to keep doing something, we need to know why something stopped in the past that we wanted to keep it going. Money is a good thing. If you want to buy new things, new rockets, instead of keep doing the same thing over, then it's going to cost more money. And other things need more money too. So having achieved what the president wanted us to do, and then what thousands, millions of people in America, and millions of people around the world. You know, when we toured around the world after we came back, the most fascinating observation was signs that said, we did it. Not just us, not just America, but we, the world, different countries. They felt like they were part of what we were able to do. And that made us feel very good.
Wow. He had such a hard time explaining that to that little girl. You know that he's lying for sure. Yep. Oh, that's it for that episode. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining me.